Jane here. Have you ever thought about writing a book for real? You think about it and maybe I don't know how to start it, I wouldn't know what to do. There's something that scares you off. There's all kinds of reasons, excuses, rationales, why people don't write their books. Well, if you're wanting to write a book, I really want to talk to you. I've come up with 15 steps for writing your book. That my goal in that is to make the project seem doable to you. I want to get that story up out of you. I want to get your book out of you. I want the world to hear your message. And the biggest thing that stops most people from writing what they want to write, I believe, it's been my experience anyway, is they don't know how to do it. They think it's bigger and harder than what it actually is. So I want to share, I've put together 15 steps. Now that sounds like a lot, but I broke it out into pieces like that because you could almost call them baby steps. It's very organized, it's very plain and simple, and if you spend the time with it that you need to, it's actually very easy. It's a myth that it's this big hard thing to write a book. So I'm gonna be looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get all 15 of these out. I'm going to give you just a little summary of these. That I want to take the time as we go along through my blog, and I want to from time to time go into some depth on each of these steps and give you a lot more about each one. But I want to just build the concept for you today that writing a book is not that difficult, and this is how you can do it. So my first step is, number one, just determine what I call the core message of your book. What do you want your book to say? Now, at first you may not think that requires a lot of thought, but I believe it actually does, because you want to get that boiled down to something as concise as you possibly can. And there are a variety of reasons for that we'll go into later. Step number two, now right now you're already starting to write your book, and it's not difficult. You're just thinking. You're not even writing chapters yet. Step two, I want you to write that core message. I want you to work that down until you can write that in one sentence. I like to think about it in terms of my core message is, if my reader could walk away with one thing out of my book, this is what I would like it to be. And you write that down. You get that boiled down in your thinking to where you get it down to one sentence. When you get to that point, you're getting very close to being ready to start writing. Third step, I think you need to determine who your targeted audience is. It's been my experience working with the authors that I have worked with that those that have just said, oh, well, my book is for everybody, have a harder time getting points across, and possibly a more difficult time reaching. There's no way to reach all of those people. By targeting your audience and determining this book is for this group, maybe age-wise, maybe married, unmarried, kids, no kids, working, not working, whatever your sick, not sick, whatever your topic would require, work out the demographics of that and find that targeted audience. True, everyone in the world may read your book. It may be so popular that everybody wants to read it, but you have targeted it so that it's reaching out to that core group. That core group matches that core message. Fourth step is to create a list of the key points in your book. The key points being, what are the main things that I have to get across or explain or talk about in order for that core message to be received, to be spoken and received. It's the first stage of an outline. Frankly, it's the equivalent most times of your table of contents. Those key points usually turn into chapters in some way. Where am I up to? Number 5. You want to create then a writing outline off of those key points by going in and adding some depth to each one. You add some detail to each one so that you're beginning to beef that out. You're beginning to deepen it to where you're going to be able now to go in and write that chapter hitting all of those elements, and everything is still geared toward that core message. Number 6, I want you to, this may sound silly, but I want you to write one chapter at a time. I have worked with so many people when they're writing their book and they just, oh, I got this thought, I'll go put this, oh, well, I got this. It's great to take notes, and I recommend that you keep notes, and we'll talk about that later. You'll have all kinds of notes and research. But when you're in the writing phase, stick to that one chapter. Force your focus into that one thing. Focus is the key to all of this. My 7th step is to rinse and repeat the last one until you have your first 3 chapters written. Once those chapters are written, something happens. It starts to become a book. They should be linking together. They should be building one on another. So this is the ideal time to find someone in your life that you really trust, that can be honest with you, but loving at the same time. You don't want someone that's just critical, but you want someone that will give you good feedback. You want to find that person or persons, have them read those first 3 chapters, and then talk to you about them. How did they feel as they were reading them? Ask them questions. Make sure that ask them questions that would tell you in their answers whether the core message is coming across or not. Listen to what they're saying and utilize what they're saying. Many times in that writing process, just like a pilot makes course corrections or they end off way off base, an author will make writing corrections or adjustments that will keep you on track with that core message of your book. When you write, next step is to keep that core message in mind, to the point where I recommend people that I have worked with, I recommend that they write that core message down on a card or something and put it in their work area as they're writing, so that they glance up, that core message is right there. So they're focused on it. It'll keep you from hopping down bunny trails and going off on these hunts all around that take away from the core value, the core point, rather than feed into it. So you want to keep your focus on that key as you write. The next step is that you want to focus on the content as you're writing. What I mean by that is almost invariably when someone sits down to write anything of importance, there's that little internal editor that pops up and starts whispering over your shoulder ugly things, and it distracts you, and you're trying to write everything, the perfect sentence or paragraph or chapter or book, and it stops you to where you can't even write. I mean, that will throw you into writer's block faster than almost anything that I know. So I want you to write with the focus of just writing, getting your story out, getting your message down. This is not the time to edit. This is not the time to revise. Just get it out. It's a creative process when you're writing it, when you're creating your content. Editing and proofing, that's a different process, and you can't do the two of them together. It's like trying to look 2 directions at the same time. It doesn't work. You'll hit a wall every time. Once you've finished your book, finished the writing, number 1, you need to finish it. So many people don't, for the reasons I just talked about. That internal editor will stop you. Once you get it finished, then is the time to edit and proof. So you want to go through that process, and that takes some time. The next step after that, you want to, again, like you did after chapter 3, you want to go back and you want to get feedback again. You want to ask questions. You want to go through that same process again, only this time with the whole book. See what they say. See what they felt. See what their reactions are. Notice, pay attention. Is my core message getting across, or is it not? and look for things in what they say that will help you get to where you want to be. Sometimes feedback is great, and sometimes feedback, it's helpful if you can go to more than one person sometimes. It just is what it is. But use it wisely so that the whole purpose in it is to keep you on track with your message. You want the reader to get that core message. And feedback is one of the best ways, because you have a sample audience reading it. It's a good test for it. So take that feedback and use it well. The next thing after that, you're in pretty good shape now, so it's time to develop a strong title and a subtitle. Now, some people will tell you, oh, the first thing you need to do when you write a book is come up with a title. I disagree with that. I say that titles and subtitles come as a result of the process of writing. I've been on projects where the author came to me and said, I know what the title of this book is supposed to be, and they were right. It was great. And the book is in print now under that title, and they're doing great with it. I've had other projects come to me and go, man, I don't know what to call this. And we have toiled over it, trying to come up with the right name. And when the right name pops up, you know it. Everybody working with you will know it. And it's like, oh, okay. So I put that down here toward the end of the project. If it pops into place earlier, awesome. But if not, this is the time where it's time to start looking at titling it. What are we going to call it? I think we're up to number 13 on our steps, and that is that you need to come up with some kind of cover concept. Now, you do not have to be an artist, and I'm not talking about some elaborate thing. I have worked with, and I have created sketches on a piece of paper and given them to the graphic people and to the cover design people, and they have come up with excellent covers. But it's helpful if you have an idea of what you want it to look like, particularly if you're going down a route where you're creating an ebook and you've got to create that cover, then having an idea of what you want it to look like just saves you all kinds of time in the end. Number 14, real quick, is now it's the time to make your publishing decisions. And I want to come back and talk about that in some detail, because there are so many things that you can do, so many ways that you can go, and it kind of becomes a question of how much money you want to spend versus how involved you want to be. There are a lot of questions and there are a lot of options. So I would like to spend some time in a post and just talk to you about that. The last thing on my 15 steps is to come up with some kind of marketing program, a plan. In today's world, yes, big-time authors can get picked up by big-time publishers and everything is done for you. The truth is, the reality is, for most people, you're self-publishing at some level, and you therefore are everything. You're responsible for the marketing. You've written a book, you have a message, you know who you want to get it out to. You have to get that marketing plan in place to do that. And I also have a lot more to share with you about that, but I don't have time right now. So that's my 15 steps for writing your book. And with all that said, I've put a couple of links down in the bottom. You can get more information. I've got a place where you can go to learn some more about the marketing side if you're interested. Also the link if you would like my help. If you're ready to go right now and do a book, let's do it. My link is down below here. So I thank you very much for watching. Be looking for more soon. Thank you. God bless.